Bruce has been informed of a new chemical in his work area and would like to learn about its hazards and what precautions he should take to protect himself. Frank is feeling dizzy after inhaling a chemical's fumes. A coworker helps him get to a safe place and then wonders what else he should do to help him recover. A spill response team works quickly to contain a spill. The team's leader needs to quickly learn the safest way to clean up and dispose of the spilled material. Daniela is unsure about the proper type of gloves she should wear before handling a specific chemical. Each of these scenarios underscore the importance of being able to quickly obtain health, safety, and hazard information related to the hazardous chemicals and substances in your workplace. Generally referred to as the Hazard Communication Program, or HAZCOM for short, your organization's chemical safety program is based on OSHA Regulation 1910.1200, titled Hazard Communication. OSHA's regulation mandates the use of the standard communication elements found in the globally harmonized system for the labeling and classification of chemicals, commonly called the GHS for short. The GHS was developed by the United Nations to be a single standard for the classifying and labeling of chemicals according to their physical, health, and environmental hazards. An important part of chemical safety is your understanding of the Hazard Communication Program and the standard GHS elements it uses to communicate chemical hazards. Bruce has been informed of a new chemical in his work area and would like to learn about its hazards and what measures he should take to protect himself. He consults the container's label to quickly learn important information about the chemical. Bruce was smart to check the container label for a chemical with which he was unfamiliar. As a part of the Globally Harmonized System, or GHS, chemical manufacturers and importers must provide a container label that includes a signal word, hazard statements, precautionary statements, and a pictogram to help explain a chemical's hazards. Workers should make the container label their first resource for information about a chemical or substance. The container label will include the product identifier, which is the name or United Nations identification number used for a hazardous substance. The supplier's name, address, and phone number will also be on the label. The chemical label may also include a signal word. A signal word is used to quickly indicate the relative severity of a chemical's most severe hazard. There are only two signal words used: danger and warning. The signal word danger is used to represent the more severe hazards, while the signal word warning is used to represent lesser hazards. For example, an extremely corrosive material that will cause severe burns to the skin will be labeled danger, while a mild substance that only causes skin irritation will be labeled warning. Only one signal word corresponding to the chemical's most severe hazard will be found on a label. And while the signal word provides information about the severity of a chemical's hazard, it is the hazard statement that provides a concise description of the various hazards presented by a chemical. Consulting the hazard statements on a container label is the easiest way to learn the exact nature of a chemical's hazards. Chemical labels also contain precautionary statements. Precautionary statements are brief phrases that explain the required measures for the safe handling of the chemical or mixture. Consulting the precautionary statements on a container label is the easiest way to learn about the requirements for safe use, handling, and storage. As you can see, by simply reading the label, a worker can quickly learn important chemical safety information. Another communication element found on a chemical's label is a pictogram. Pictograms are used to represent the hazards of a chemical. The GHS mandates the use of standardized pictograms so safety information can be conveyed without concern for any language barriers. Chemical hazards are divided into three types: physical hazards, health hazards, and environmental hazards. Physical hazards are properties of a substance or mixture that could physically harm you or the facility, such as a fire or explosion hazard. There are 5 pictograms that are used to represent the various physical hazards. The exploding bomb pictogram indicates that a material is explosive or is an unstable self-reactive or an unstable organic peroxide. The flame pictogram is used to represent flammable gases, liquids, and solids, as well as pyrophoric and self-heating substances. The flame over circle pictogram, also called the oxidizer pictogram, signifies that a chemical can cause or contribute to the intensity of a fire. The gas cylinder pictogram is used when a substance is a compressed, dissolved, or liquefied gas under pressure. The corrosion pictogram is displayed when a material is corrosive to metal. Once again, the 5 pictograms that represent physical hazards are the exploding bomb, the flame over circle or oxidizer, the gas cylinder, and the corrosion pictogram. Let's now discuss the 4 pictograms that represent health hazards. Health hazards are properties of a substance or mixture that can cause illness or injury to the eyes, lungs, skin, internal organs, or other body parts. In addition to representing a physical hazard, the corrosion pictogram is also used to represent the health hazard of skin corrosion and serious eye damage. The exclamation point or irritant pictogram represents skin irritation, eye irritation, skin sensitization, narcotic effects, respiratory tract irritation, and non-fatal acute toxicity. The skull and crossbones pictogram denotes that a chemical is acutely toxic and exposure may be fatal. The health hazard pictogram indicates that the substance is a carcinogen or causes respiratory sensitization or germ cell mutagenicity. The health hazard pictogram also represents reproductive toxicity, an aspiration hazard, or specific target organ toxicity. Once again, the 4 pictograms that represent health hazards are the corrosion pictogram, the exclamation point or irritant pictogram, the skull and crossbones pictogram, and the health hazard pictogram. Let's now discuss the pictograms that represent environmental hazards. Environmental hazards are properties of a substance or mixture that cause aquatic toxicity and damage to living organisms in water or cause damage to the ozone layer. The environment pictogram can be used when a substance poses hazards to the aquatic environment, and the exclamation point or irritant pictogram can be used to indicate that a chemical is damaging to the ozone layer. It's important to remember that pictograms are designed to quickly alert workers to the potential hazards of a substance. Workers will then need to seek out additional information in order to safely work with, store, or handle the material. One important source for additional detailed safety information about a chemical is the safety data sheet. As part of your facility's hazard communication program, a safety data sheet is maintained for every chemical used on site. The GHS requires these safety data sheets to have a uniform format in which information is presented in 16 sections that appear in a specific order. This uniformity helps workers quickly find important information. The 16 sections of a safety data sheet are as follows. Section 1, Identification. Section 1 lists the product's name and intended use, the manufacturer or supplier's name, and a phone number to call in case of an emergency. Section 2, Hazards Identification. Section 3, Composition Information on Ingredients. Section 4, First Aid Measures. Section 4 explains how to treat chemical exposures such as inhalation, ingestion, and contact with the eyes and skin. Frank is feeling dizzy after inhaling a chemical's fumes. A coworker helps him get to a safe place and then wonders what else he should do to help him recover. Frank's coworker consults the safety data sheet and is relieved to learn the only required first aid after inhalation is to remove the exposed person to fresh air. Section 5, firefighting measures. Section 6, accidental release measures. Section 6 provides containment and cleanup instructions and precautions to be followed in the event of a leak or spill. A spill response team works to initially contain a spill. The team's leader needs to quickly learn the safest way to clean up and dispose of the spilled material. He refers to Section 6 of the safety data sheet to learn the recommended type of absorbent material to best clean up the spill. Section 7, handling and storage. Section 8, exposure control and personal protection. Section 8 is of prime importance to chemical workers. It lists any applicable exposure limits and explains the personal protective equipment required to prevent exposure while working with the chemical. Daniela isn't sure about the proper type of gloves she should wear before handling a specific chemical. She consults Section 8 of the safety data sheet and learns which gloves she should use. Section 9, physical and chemical properties. Section 10, stability and reactivity. Section 11, toxicological information. Section 11 contains the potential routes of entry for the substance into the human body, as well as a listing of the signs, symptoms, and effects of exposure to the substance. Section 12, ecological information. Section 13, disposal considerations. Section 14, transport information. Section 15, regulatory information. Section 16, other information. Section 16 is reserved for other important information that is not listed in other sections. For example, the popular NFPA and HMIS hazard ratings are often listed in this section since they are not a recognized part of the globally harmonized system. To ensure that all workers have an understanding of chemical hazards in their workplace, OSHA requires organizations to develop and maintain a written hazard communication program. The written program must be made available for workers to review upon request. Key elements of the written program include policies and procedures for container labeling, the accessible locations of safety data sheets, and a listing of the names and locations of all hazardous substances on site. Also included in the written plan are the site-specific requirements for employee training. Your facility's hazard communication program is designed to help you understand the chemical hazards in your workplace. It's up to you to use the valuable information on chemical labels and safety data sheets, combined with site-specific training to ensure your safety while storing, handling, or using hazardous chemicals. Always remember that the person most responsible for your safety is you.